Hello, my name is Travis Conley. I'll be doing my research topic on PTSD and the negative effects on war veterans. What is PTSD and my objectives? PTSD, also known as post-traumatic stress disorder, is common to develop in veterans that participated in war or military service. PTSD has caused some war veterans psychological problems that have affected personal lives. The negative and psychological effects PTSD have on war veterans. These are basically my objectives in a brief description of what PTSD is. We're gonna go over like the negative effects and how like the negative effects can like travel over until their physical body. Findings and research by Jerm Harbross in 2016 and the National Vietnam Veterans Readjustment Study. 52% of combat veterans with PTSD reported a significant nightmare problem. Basically, they had insomnia because of what happened. If they participated in Vietnam, they saw things that made them very like it had a psychological effect that prevented them from sleeping. And so if they can't sleep, their body lose functions that they normally would have, and it could cause harm for both psychologically and physical. And so hopefully there is like a treatment to PTSD for these veterans. And another article, there was a study between 1994 and 2006 to see if PTSD would correlate to suiciding more, and results were that people with PTSD had 5.3 times the suicide rate as a person without PTSD. In another study between 1995 and 2011, the suicide rate was 13 times more than a person without PTSD. So clearly as you see, PST does correlate to suiciding more, and that's probably because the psychological effect that it have. Like, if they keep having these suicidal thoughts, at some point in their time, they're going to suicide than a person without it. Because a person without it, they might not have the same problems such as insomnia, suicidal thoughts, feelings of guilty. They might not have these feelings that a person, say a war veteran, have, because if you're in a war and you live and one of your brothers in arms die, you start to question yourself like, why didn't I die? Why am I here? And when you see these things happen again, or something that reminds you of it, you are more likely to have a more worse side effect happen to you psychologically, and that leads to suicide. And veterans feel emotionally unstable and paranoid, and it could sometimes cause this insomnia due to nightmares or flashbacks of their time serving. And my conclusion is that PTSD has such a negative effect amongst people in general, not just war veterans, and they should always be taken care of with caution because of how serious the situation is, and we don't know how some people could be holding in such psychological pain that needs help. Thank you.